Zoning laws quietly decide what gets built next to your home, your business, and your community, often long before anyone realizes a decision is even being made. Hi, I'm Taylor with Zimmer and Rens, and today I want to talk you through zoning and land use, what zoning actually is, how it developed here in Wisconsin, and the most common roadblocks people run into when new development is proposed. This comes up a lot with data centers, solar installations, apartment buildings, and other large construction projects. Let's start with the basics. Zoning is the written framework. It sets the rules for what land can be used for, residential, commercial, agricultural, as well as things like building height, population density, lot size, and setbacks. Land use is how those zoning rules are applied in real life. It's the approvals, permits, public hearings, variances, and political decisions that determine whether a specific project moves forward. So, in simple terms, 1. Zoning is the rule book. 2. Land use is how those rules are enforced or adjusted. A project can technically follow zoning and still face serious land use resistance. Wisconsin was actually an early adopter of zoning, particularly in cities like Milwaukee. Early court decisions upheld zoning as a way to protect the general welfare, not just individual property rights. Then, in 1999, the state required local governments to adopt comprehensive plans. Zoning and land use decisions were supposed to follow those long-term plans for growth and development. The challenge today is that many of those plans, and the zoning codes tied to them, have not kept up with modern development needs. Here's where we are seeing friction today. Outdated zoning codes. Many ordinances weren't written with modern housing density, renewable energy, or large-scale infrastructure in mind. Exclusionary zoning practices. Rules like single-family only zoning or large minimum lot sizes restrict housing supply and make affordability harder to achieve. Limited buildable land and high costs. Fewer developed lots combined with high construction and financing costs slow down new projects. And finally, local resistance. Community opposition plays a major role, especially when people feel blindsided by a project that appears to change the character of their neighborhood. If you find yourself in a situation where you have concerns about proposed developments on land nearby where you live or where your business is located, here are some constructive steps you can take. First, start by learning the proposal, what approvals are being requested, and whether the proposal aligns with the community's comprehensive plan. Next, engage early. Reach out to local officials, planning commissions, and zoning boards before decisions are finalized. It is also important to participate in public hearings. Public comment matters more than people realize, especially when concerns are specific, documented, and focused on land use impacts. And finally, understand that there are formal appeal processes if a decision is made, but those processes are time-sensitive and technical. Zoning and land use shape how Wisconsin grows, what gets built, where it gets built, and how communities evolve. If you want clear, practical insight into zoning, land use, and business-related legal issues, follow Zimmer and Rens. We share ongoing updates to help you better understand the rules that impact property, development, and long-term planning.